So we begin. Ala pasuk, vatikach Miriam hanavia aches Aaron es atef biyada, vatetzena kol anoshim achareh besubim uvimchelos. So at the end of the shiur, when we look at the Sefer Torah and we see this, the shape of the lines, the flow, are the way a shiur is written in the Torah, and then we complete the shiur with Moshe Rabbeinu and the Yidden, and at the end we have suddenly there's once again a quick repeat of the shiur form, and it's about Miriam, and also the Baal Koreh, he intones the final words of Miriam's shiur with the same melody as he does the shiur of Oz Yashir Moshe. So the pasuk says that Miriam Hanaviyah, Aaron's sister, took out a tambourine, and she took all the women after her with tambourines and dancing. So Rashi on the pasuk, so Maitik Rashi quotes the Tevis, Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah, 3 words, Miriam the Neviah, the prophetess, took out, Umefarish Heichan Nistaba, Kishahoisa Aches Aaron, Kodim Shenelad Moshe, Amra Asida Imi Sheteled Bein Chulu. So Rashi says, where did she prophesy? She prophesied when she was yet only Aaron's sister. Moshe wasn't born yet. And he said, my mother will in the future give birth to a child, a ben, as Kedisa B'Soita, like the Gemara says in Soita. Davar Acher, another interpretation. Achois Aaron. Why is the pasuk referring to her as Aaron's sister? When Miriam caught or received saras, leprosy, later on in the Torah when she spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, so it says that Aaron came to Moshe and he says, please, daven for her. And Aaron extended himself, he put himself out in order to save his sister, that his sister should be cured. So Rashi tells us 2 reasons. In other words, with our basic understanding right now, Rashi is coming to address why the pasuk refers to Miriam as the sister of Aaron. So let's take a look. Bepashtus. Kavanas Rashi hi letaritz kushya pshuta hamisayreres b'limud hakosov. Rashi, it's on the surface. Rashi is coming to answer a simple question. Kemefurish b'mesechah Soita hamtzayenes bepirish Rashi, as noted in the Gemara that Rashi quotes. Achos Aaron v'lei achos Moshe. Was Miriam the sister of Aaron, not the sister of Moshe? Metaretz Rashi answers, she'ein teves achos Aaron toyer al Miriam. That those words achos Aaron are not telling us who Miriam is. She'oz kosher, then the question would be, she's not Moshe's sister. Elohim boys behemshech letevas haneviyah. The pasuk says, who was Miriam? A prophetess. Really? Where does it say that? In the Chumash, we don't have any account of Miriam being a Neviah. So Rashi tells us, Shehoisa Neviah, that you know when she prophesied. Kishahoisa Adayin Raka Chos Aaron, many years earlier, before Moshe was born. Kodim Shenelad Moshe. And you know what the Nevuah was? The Hanevuah Hoisa, Asida Imi Sheteled Bein Chulu. That she's going to have a child. Then Rashi adds another reason, another answer. Why does the Torah refer to her as Aches Aaron? Because Aaron was Moshe Nefesh. So far the Rebbe brings Rashi, and the Rebbe addresses, on first glance, what is it that Rashi is coming to address? Rashi is coming to tell us, Hanaviyah, what was her prophecy about? And why is she called Aches Aaron? Because Aaron extended himself for her. Now the Rebbe comes and asks a few questions. If that's the understanding, if that's what Rashi is telling us, it's problematic. First of all, Lama Matik Rashi Hatevais Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah. Why does Rashi only bring the words Miriam the Neviah took? Hare. Hatevais Hamachriches Es Pirushe. What are the words driving Rashi? the words Achos Aaron, that she was Aaron's sister. Hein Achos Aaron, Shebazeh Kosher, V'lei Achos Moshe. The question is, why Aaron's sister, not Moshe's sister? V'im King, Hoyolei LeRashi Lahatik Tevezeh. Rashi should have brought those words in the quote. V'loi V'atikach Miriam Hanaviyah, not the first words, V'atikach Miriam Hanaviyah. I want to mention that the Rebbe in a footnote brings the Ramban. The Ramban says that the reason why the pasuk refers to Miriam as Aaron's sister was because of the family members. Aaron is the only one not mentioned in the pasuk. Because Oz Yoshir Moshe, and then Vatikach Miriam. So where is Aaron? Aaron is absent. So in order to be maskir, to mention Aaron, the pasuk says Miriam Achos Aaron. Moshe we don't have to mention. Moshe was already mentioned. So the Rebbe says the Ramban is a nice pshat, but in Pshutei Shel Mikra that's a remez. That's not a response. Rashi takes the approach of the literal Pshutei Shel Mikra. In Pshutei Shel Mikra we don't have this idea that people have to be mentioned. That's like a spiritual thing, that people have to be mentioned over a certain event. So let's continue, Beis. So the Rebbe is asking that the quote from the Pasuk should have been a different quote. Beis. Ma machriach es Rashi. What compels Rashi? Lohidia kan, to tell us here, bepirush hapshat shel kosav zeh, when he's coming to explain the literal meaning of this pasuk, teichen nevuas Miriam. Why does he have to tell us what she prophesied? Rashi could have said many years ago, Miriam prophesied before Moshe was born. Why does it? Oh, my mother's going to have a child. Why is that important right here? L'chura. Havale Likkutei v'rak. He didn't have to write anything else. Gimel. On the other hand, on the flip side, how does Rashi know? In other words, from where does Rashi glean that Nevuas Miriam hoysa asida imi shetei leid bein v'chulu? From where does Rashi take this particular, oh, you know what the nevuah was? She's going to have a child. How does he know that? Dalet, the fourth question. Kiyadua, ein darkei shel Rashi, letzayin moker pirushav. Rashi in general, all Rashis are sourced. Rashi doesn't generally tell us where he took his shot from. When he does tell us the source, it's to add something. Telling us where it's from contributes an important idea. It's just that it's not a critical aspect. Which is generally what Rashi does, that even a 5-year-old should be able to understand. Why does Rashi mention a source? If there's a Talmud that's quick, that's sharp, and he's going to have a deeper question, an insight. Rashi sends that student on a journey, look it up. Your deeper question will be answered, but the 5-year-old isn't troubled by this question. By looking deeply into that, by looking into that source, your question will be answered. Another point that the Rebbe makes about the rules of Rashi. If Rashi quotes a commentary that's sourced in a few places, and he chooses one particular one, like he does here in Masechta Soita, he doesn't just say the Isa Gemara Kayetze Bazeh. that it's stated in Gemara. Oz kavanose shedavke ayidei b'mokem amatzuyan b'Rashi yitosef bir b'pirush hakosel. By looking in that Gemara, you'll gain an insight into our pasuk. In our case, mahi kavanas Rashi. What is Rashi's intention? What's he coming to answer? What was bothering Rashi that he has to tell us in Masechta Soita? This passage of our Chachamim appears in Masechta Soita and in Masechta Megillah. Rashi medayik. Rashi is particular. Umetzayin lesoita. Vare adarabah. On the contrary, Megillah comes first. Megillah she beseder moyed. Kedem es b'shas l'Masechta Soita she beseder noshim. Megillah is an earlier order of Mishnayos. Why does Rashi choose Masechta Soita? Shemizeh move on, we understand from this. Shedafke ayidei isa b'Masechta Soita yitosef bir b'pirushay. This will add a pirush to what Rashi tells us here. Two more questions. Hey, question number 5, and then we'll summarize. Loma maitik Rashi b'pirushi abeis es hateves aches aren. Why does Rashi repeat himself and bring the words aches aren again, which he already wrote in his first pirush? V'hava le'lemeimar, he should have written more briefly. Davar acher, a second explanation. Lefisha masa anach Ari was meised nefesh for her. Vov, 6th question. Meduba kama b'omim, the Rebbe explained many times that shebemakim sherashi maybe base pirushim, when Rashi brings two explanations. However, ve'ein makdim, he doesn't introduce the two. He doesn't say, I want you to know there are two pirushim. When he says that, it tells us that both are equal. If Rashi says there are two pirushim, what he's saying is they're both equal. But when Rashi doesn't tell us that in advance, and he just tells us two pirushim one after the other, this proves to us that there's a difficulty with each one of the pirushim. With each one of the explanations, she'ein ba'asheni, each one has a unique problem. Va'pirush harishen hu ha'ikr. The main explanation is the first one. Ela, she'afal pikein ein hu maspik adayin. But it's not enough. Uzkukim la'pirush habeis. We need the second explanation. U'benidin didan. In our case, mahu hakushya she'bebeis ha'pirushim. What's lacking? What's missing in the first pirush and in the second pirush? So in summary, the Rebbe brings Rashi on the pasuk Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah. Rashi explains, when was she a prophetess? Before Moshe was born. Another biur, Davar Acher, because Aaron was Meised Nefesh. For Miriam, the Torah refers to her as the sister of Aaron. So the Rebbe asks 6 questions. Question number 1, if what drives Rashi are the words Achais Aaron, why doesn't he bring it in the quote? Question 1. Question 2, from where does Rashi take? In other words, why is it important for Rashi to tell us what the prophecy was? That's the 3rd question. Why does Rashi find it necessary to tell it to us? Why is it negaya here what it was? Just say that it happened years ago. Why does he tell us that it's in the Masechta Soita? Why does Rashi bring the words Achos Aaron a second time in the words of Rashi? And then finally, the final question, what is lacking in each of the two pirushim that Rashi brings two pirushim? Now, I just want to mention something in general about the Rebbe's Sichos and the questions that we have in the Sichos. So, sometimes, when you give a shiur, you're looking for questions that are troubling the people. Right? What are questions that we have? If you tell me a question, the Rebbe has a question in Rashi. Well, where's my question? Right? Part of the process, part of learning the Sichos, is to appreciate the way the Rebbe embraces the kedusha of every single breath, of every single word and diuk, every nuance of Rashi. It's Torah. Torah is part of Torah's emes. And every Rashi has a message, and there's no loose end. And just as in the questions, the Rebbe, the tearing apart the Rashi from all these angles, it's really not about the questions, it's about the answers. It's about the lessons that we take from the Rashi. And every diuk has another insight. So when we learn the Sichos, it's a goal for us to embrace the questions that they become our questions. Torah is a Torah. We look in the Chumash, we read the Psukim, and we ask ourselves, why? What is all these questions we ask ourselves? Take achos aren, why achos aren? And why is the nevuah necessary here? And so on. All these questions. So let's take a look at Habir B'Kolzeh. In this Ois, in Ois Beis, the Rebbe will compile, categorize what in Pshutei Shel Nikra, according to Rashi, what defines a Navi. What is a Navi? What are the characteristics of a Navi? On the side. So let's take a look. Habir B'Kolzeh. Kavonas Rashi. Beperush kan hi letaretz. What is Rashi coming to answer? The word Hanaviyah. Hanaviyah means that she's famous. The famous prophetess. Behei Hayediyah. She's known as a Neviah. Hainu, shenisnaba kvar. There already was a prophecy. Heicha nisnaba. Where was that prophecy? And I'll mention to you, not to confuse, the Klei Yakar is of the opinion that this was her first prophecy. In other words, this is when she became a Neviah. Okay? But Rashi understands the pasuk that she was already. Where did that happen? Beis ve'ikir. Kushya pshuta hamiseireres belimud ateves shematikon. There's a simple question in these words. Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah. What's the simple question? It's move on. It's obvious. When the Torah, in telling us a story, an event, the Torah adds a title, La'adam Shemaskira. We mention a person, and we provide a title for that person. Why are we mentioning a title? Either without the title, we're not going to know who it is. Maybe there are two Miriams, so we have to say Miriam the Neviah. Oy Beis, ki balade ator lehaginu yodim we wouldn't know it. Or Beis, lahoisif havana v'hamaura hamasupar. We're going to gain an understanding by telling us the nevuah, the neviah. V'hine benida nidan, looking at our story. She'atayra meisifa toyar, the Torah says, you know who Miriam was, haneviah. Move on, it's understood. She'ein zeh b'chdei lohidia be'ezeh Miriam adubar. Those words, Hanaviyah, they're not coming to tell us who it was. Ki adayin lo yadayinu, we had no idea until this point. Ad pasuk zeh shahis Hanaviyah. Furthermore, v'oid, take it from meyad. What are the next words? Mefurish. The pasuk says clearly, explicitly, shahis ha'achais ha'aren, shezel bidur gomer. That's a clear verification of who she was. A verification of who she was. Who was she? Aaron's sister. Why do you have to tell me she was a Neviah? So we must say, the intent of the pasuk, there's a Sicha on the first table. Something about this story is connected with the fact that she was a prophetess. And now the question is, what is that? What you need to be a prophet to sing? I had Rabbi Metzger's all sang gesund. So when he would give a shiur years ago, he would give a shiur if he heard talking, like some of the students would interrupt. If he heard talking, he would say, "I hear voices, and I'm not a prophet." Right? So you don't need to be a prophet to sing. What's Miriam doing? She's singing. So let's establish what is a Navi. So the Rebbe says, L'chura ain't a moving. What she's doing here, how is it connected with being a Neviah? Kvar lamadnu beParshas Vayera. In Parshas Vayera, the pasuk says, "Ve'ato," Hashem says to Avimelech, "Hoshev Eishes ha'ish ki Naviu." Give back Avraham's wife. He's a Navi. He knows that you didn't touch her. Ubepirish Rashi explains, Ki Navihu. What is the Nevius about? V'yayideya, he knows, Shalei nagata bo, that you didn't touch her. So what is a Navi? Hainu, she'inyin ha-Navihu ladas dvorim nistorim. A Navi knows hidden things. Now, a Navi knows hidden events that already were. That's number one. Ubepirish Rashi beParshas Vayetze. We continue again. Rashi. What does Rashi say? The fish ahoyim ois nevios hoyim. The yoides. They knew how many children Yaakov is going to have. What do they know? Yedias ha'osid lovi. Second qualification. What is a navi? A navi knows the future. He knows hidden things, and he knows the future. And ubepirish Rashi va'era. What do we find in va'era? Rashi says kol loshe nevuah. What is prophecy? When we say a title on a person, this is a navi. Adam hamachriz umashmiya la'am divrei teichachos. A person who sends a message to the people of musar, of rebuke, that they should improve their ways, etc. So now we have the summary. What is a navi? Nimtza shegeder hanavi hu. What comprises a navi? Yedei advarim nistorim. Yedeya Sidas, Medaber Umashmiya La'am Divrei Teichachos. Those are the three qualifications. Singing is not one of them. Playing with a tambourine is not one of them. We turn the page. V'im Kain, if that's the case. Mahi HaShaychus, what's the connection? Shel Vatikach Miriam, Im Zeh Shehoysa HaNeviah. What's the connection? Why do you have to mention here that she was a Neviah? When Miriam said Shira, it's not about knowing the future. She wasn't rebuking anyone. What is the inyan of Shira? Here the Rebbe presents a psychological explanation of the inyan of Shira. What is Shira? Zuhi toitzo'ot tivis. It's a natural response. Singing praise is a natural response. Mehergesh hanefesh, from a soul's feeling. Bir'oisa hanes. Mehergesh hanefesh shelo bir'oisa hanes. When she experienced the miracle, she sang. Ubeloshen Rashi b'inyan zeh atzmei, like Rashi writes here. Oz kishera Moshe hanes. It was a natural response. He began to sing. Sheyoshu shira v'chulu. Omar loy liboy. His heart told him, sing sheyoshu. V'chein also, that's what he did. V'chein b'Yehoshua. V'chein shiras ha'be'er sheposach ba'oz yoshu. The shiurim into Ali be'er umuvan be'pashtus. Shegam Miriam, the same state that Moshe Rabbeinu had, that drove him to sing. The same thing happened to Miriam. So why is it important why does the pasuk have to let us know here that she was a prophetess? So this is, the Rebbe is telling us what bothers Rashi. Vatikach Miriam Hanaviyah. We look in the story of the Torah. What's the Geya? How does it impact that she was a prophetess to what she did? Taretz Rashi. Rashi comes to tell us this word Hanaviyah comes to address an important question. And here in Ois Gimel, the Rebbe brings out, just to express this, beforehand, Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Yidden, he came to the Jews, and he said, I'm going to take you out of Mitzrayim. So we know the first time they listened, the second time it was too difficult. Even when he took them out of Mitzrayim, there was still a certain fear. They had messengers with them, Derech Shleishes Yomim, 3 days. To impress the Yidden wasn't easy. It was difficult. Now, at Kriyas Yamsuf, this is Moshe in his glory. Whatever the promise was, to be free of the Mitzrayim, to be free of the Shibud, of the 210 years or 430 years, the way the Torah writes it, this is the culmination, this is the climax. Moshe Rabbeinu, wow, what does the Pasuk say? Ve'aminu ba'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdei. Finally, the Jewish people came to believe in Moshe. And the Torah compares it, Ve'aminu ba'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdei. Imagine the glory for Moshe Rabbeinu of that moment. This is Moshe Rabbeinu at his height. In other words, I'm saying this is not in the Sicha. I'm saying a thought for a second. When it comes to the Torah, we can tell jokes that when the Jewish people heard the tablets were free, they said, "Let's take 2." Right? We can tell such a joke. But for the Jewish people, what did they feel was more necessary for them? Freedom or a Torah? They needed law or they wanted freedom. The Pashtus, after being enslaved for so many years, the one thing they cared about was freedom. That was the key. They want to be free. And to see their oppressors being punished, that's the cream. That's extra. If Moshe brought the Torah's Moshe, okay, fine. They don't know how precious Torah is yet. They're going to find out. But this is Moshe Rabbeinu's moment. How suddenly Miriam moves into the limelight. Suddenly she's the star. What's going on? How is she coming in to interfere into this moment of Moshe Rabbeinu? That's the problem in the story that the word Hanaviyah in the Pasuk is coming to address. So let's take a look inside. Umetaretz Rashi. She'ein kavonas hakosov loymar shekan b'me'ur hazeh yesh shaychus lenavot. Rashi says you're right. You don't need to be a prophet to sing. Ki'im she'tevas hanaviyah nimsheches l'mar shekosov achar kach b'kosov aches Aaron. The word hanaviyah relates to another event. Not now. You don't need to be a prophet now. Ki teves elu shebe pirushei hein teves hakosov. The words aches Aaron should be in bold. They should be once again a title, like a dibur hamaskil. Rashi is inserting his words into the middle of the words of the pasuk. Uki'ilu, says the Rebbe, hoyu nitfasois ba'oisiyos gedolos, as if they were printed in large letters. Elo, shebe'emtza machnis pirushay. In middle, Rashi slips in his commentary. Ukedarke bekam mekomes, like we find in several places, like Rashi brings in the footnotes, like the Rebbe brings in the footnotes. Hainu shehisnabo kishahoisa adayin rak achos Aaron. She said a prophecy when she was only Aaron's sister, koidim sheleilad Moshe, before Moshe was born. The kavonas hakosov bozai hilet aretz kushia. The pasuk is coming to answer a question. Be'aksuvim shelifnei zeh, and the earlier psukim be'inyan zeh atzmoi, in this subject, kosov, what does it say? Vayaminu ba'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdei. Shemizeh move on, we can understand from these words, Ad kama hoyu betelim hoyu b'nei kol b'nei Yisrael Moshe Beis. Can you imagine how batal they were to Moshe Rabbeinu, how in awe they were of Moshe's greatness? Now, the Rebbe highlights, what does greatness mean? In the Egyptian model, in the Egyptian paradigm, greatness means no one does anything without your permission. We had that by Yosef HaTzadik. Pari appointed him and he said, Yosef, if not without your permission, they can't raise a hand. They can't raise a foot. You need to be granted permission. Now the Eibishter placed Moshe, the Pasuk says that Moshe was Adon LeParoi. Moshe became a master over Paroi. So no one moves without Moshe Rabbeinu's permission. Let's take a look. Forget about this moment at Kriyas Yamsuf and Moshe Rabbeinu attaining such greatness even before that. Ra'u, the people saw. Asher Hashem Samai Elikim Lefarei. He became the master of Paroi. Shafilu HaMishna Leparoi. Even the viceroy, Biladoi, without his permission, no one could move a hand or a foot. So the question is, it's not understood. How did she behave so boldly to take such a great action? To sing, to take out the women, to make a whole group, an entourage. We don't find that they requested permission. Now the Apostle comes and says, Miriam, she had the right. Miriam had in her history, she had what it took. Right? Her position allowed her history allowed her to do a move that bold. She was a famed prophetess. And she was Gedoyla B'Yoser. She was incredibly great. Her prophecy came even before Moshe was born. You know what the Nevuah was? The Nevuah is what gave Moshe's existence. In other words, the Rebbe brings in the footnote, revealing to Amram and Yocheved that Moshe would be born, that's what brought them to marry. So she revealed it. She brought it into the world. Since that was her greatness, that's what justified her responding in song to Moshe Rabbeinu, in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu. Get the lahalom, like the Rebbe will explain. I'm watching the clock. Dehine, l'chure. You know what? You want to tell us that Miriam was great? Why tell us that she was Aaron's sister? Tell us she was Yocheved's daughter, Amram's daughter. L'chure, tfei havelei l'meimar. The Apostle could have told us something greater. Hanavia bas Amram, aviv shel Moshe. Mashenkin achos Aaron. Aaron is tofel to Moshe. Aaron is secondary. Mashenkin achos Aaron shahayu navi v'tofel Moshe. Aaron's prophecy was secondary to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ume'achar she'akosov madgish hanavia achos Aaron. The Pasuk chooses to tell us that it was Aaron's sister. Al korchoch tzarich leimar. We must say, this compels us to say, she'kavanose leimar she'teichen hanavuahu hadiuk Aaron v'lei Moshe. The prophecy was Aaron. There was no Moshe. Koydem leidas Moshe. Kivi'im kavanose. If the Pasuk only wants to tell us, rak leimar she'hisnaba mikvar, that she prophesied years ago. It could have said, Hanavia me'az, the prophetess from long ago. So therefore, it tells us that Amra Asida Imi Sheteled Bein, that she said, my mother will have a great child. Ubazeh, this prophecy, Mudgeshes, it emphasizes the greatness of Miriam. Mudgeshes gedulas dargas nevuasa ve'erka ledargas Moshe, that she's comparable to Moshe Rabbeinu. Number one, Aleph. Hisnaba v'yada mikoidim she'asid Moshe rabban shel Yisrael v'kulam v'telim elav li'ivale. She prophesied about the greatness of Moshe and that he would be born. There are some versions of Rashi where it says Moshe, the savior of the Jewish people. In our version, we don't have those words, but there are. Beis, another thing about the greatness of her prophecy, Hisnaba b'inyan she'enei shayich eleha b'yichud. She prophesied about something that wasn't relevant to her. Ki'im b'inyan ha'shayich la'amram v'yeichevet. It wasn't about her particularly. It was about her parents. Gimel. Asida imi she'teleit. There were great people in her family. Amram was a great person. And the child got the nevuah. The child must have been great. Hainu she'amram v'yechevet bo'olam. Ubekol ze nevertheless, ha-nevuah bo'al yodo. She'mikol ze buchach. All this brings home, it compels us that to understand that she was a great prophetess. She'dargas nevuasa oisa b'deiva b'yosef. V'zuhi kavonas ha'kosav leimar. That's what the pasuk wants to tell us. V'kivan she'oisa neviah, since she was a prophetess. V'loi oid, ela she'isnaba koidim, v'al leidas Moshe. She prophesied about Moshe's birth. Lachein, that's what gave her the right. V'tikach Miriam v'goymer, v'tan lo Miriam v'goymer, v'titzena kol ha'anoshim achareh goymer, boldly to go out and to take and to lead everything that she did. In the next ois, in Dalet, the Rebbe tells us something very fascinating. The Rebbe begins with a question, but the Rebbe tells us something very interesting. The pasuk says, so the discussion of the Rebbe was the greatness of Miriam's prophecy equal to Moshe Rabbeinu? You know, the Alter Rebbe brings in Likkutei Torah that the word brother, the word ach, or achos, also means weaving. Weaving isn't the right word. He brings Ichui Alexandris, that if there's a tear, they would close the tear with such a perfect, they had a method in Alexandria that they would, even if something tore in the middle of the garment, they would weave it and you couldn't, it became one. So the inyan of ach, a brother, means mamash, that they're completely one. Right? So, and at the end of the Sicha, the Rebbe will bring out how Achos Aaron, that Miriam and Aaron were one in a certain way. And now the Rebbe is discussing, so Miriam as Moshe's sister, as Achos Moshe, is she equal to Moshe, not equal? Now we have a pasuk. The pasuk says at the end of Parshas V'zeis HaBracha, V'leikam Navi Oid B'Yisrael K'Moshe, there was no one like Moshe. So how can you say, oh, Miriam was like Moshe? So the Rebbe says, when the pasuk says there was no Navi like Moshe, it's referring to one particular aspect, that his interaction with Hashem was panim el panim. But in the greatness of prophecy, like the level of the vision, other prophets could also have the same madrega. And the Rebbe brings, the pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Navi akim lecha mikerev achecha kamoini. I will appoint a prophet like me. So there will be prophets like him. So this is something that's discussed here. It's difficult to understand. There's a little bit of a shaila, because it's with regards to Bilam, Right? It's the pasuk says, "V'leikom navi bi Yisrael." But by Umay Sa'olam, there could be. But v'leikom navi oid.
He's referring to himself.
It needs a little an insight. It needs a little havhara, a little insight, a take on what the pshat is. Okay, let's learn inside. I have some thoughts, but I don't want to put it into a Sicha. Let's keep the Sicha holy. Okay, let's take a look at Dalit. There's still something missing. Let's remember that the Rebbe brings two Perushim because there's something lacking. So let's see. Kivon shekavanas hakoso l'sape erech nevuasa legabe Moshe. The Torah is telling us how she had the right to stand up in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu. So now this is all about her and Moshe. V'lachein mefarish teichen nevuasa achos arim kanal. So it tells us, you know what? She prophesied before Moshe was born. She was only Aaron's sister. If you want to tell us how great she was, on the contrary, the pasuk should have said Moshe's sister. Why? We would also understand that what the pasuk is trying to tell us. Remember, what she's doing now doesn't need prophecy. So mukhrach loymar sheha neviah nimsheches l'masha kosov achar kach achos Moshe. Why does it say Hanaviah? Something connecting to Moshe. Via Seder, it's better to say Moshe's sister than Aaron's sister. That she was a pair, a sister, bidargas, on the level of Moshe the Nevuah. Let's think about what Rashi writes in Sefer Bereshis. What makes them brothers? They had one counsel, one idea. They're a team. They work together. I want to clarify what's the Rebbe saying. Just to make what she's doing here doesn't require prophecy. Why are you saying Hanaviah? Because there's an association to something else. Achos Moshe, that she prophesied that Moshe would be born, or that she's parallel, she's on the same level of Moshe Rabbeinu. It would be better to say Achos Moshe. Even though the pasuk says "V'leikom navi b'Yisrael to Moshe," that there was no one like Moshe, Harei mefarish take it from the yad. The pasuk immediately explains shezehu b'inyan. It's in one aspect. Asher yodei Hashem ponim el ponim. On the contrary, there were great Nevi'im at the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hiftiach Moshe, Navi mikirbecha me'achecha kamoini yakim lecha Hashem lekecha. Hashem will stand up Nevi'im like Moshe. Ubedeichik yeshloimah. Right? It's not a comfortable answer, but we could say possibly. Shebenida didam hare'ein maspik liyos achos Moshe betur neviah. It's not enough to be equal to Moshe. To get up and sing and lead people as an equal, it's not enough. You still need to ask permission. If you're greater than you could get up and speak and lead and do and dance and sing. But if you're an equal, it's not enough. That's what. Shehareze bedugmas novi kamoini. It's bedoichik to say shelayasa dover gadol bizman Moshe mibli l'shaloi, without asking him. Ki'im, the only way, what would give her a right is tzricha liyos neviah shenisnaba koydem Moshe. She had to come before, prior to Moshe. B'mei Amram v'yechevet v'chulu kinal. The kivan shedoichiku. Since it's a doichik to say this, sheharei ein hameduber b'nevuah. It's not about prophecy. It's about singing. V'eid v'ikr. Harei kol b'nei Yisrael omru shira. Everyone was singing. And what was Miriam's contribution? V'hachidush hu rak bazeh shegam hanoshim teimarna, that the women should say. V'arei af hein hoyu ba'isei anes. So, being that this is the shaila, Lachein maybe Rashi Pirush Beis, Rashi brings a second aspect. Davar acher achos Aaron. Hainu, sheyesh ne'oid tam, loma mefarish dargas Miriam ayidei amilim achos Aaron. In other words, we have a problem here. Why doesn't it say achos Moshe? And even achos Moshe, what will justify singing in front of Moshe Rabbeinu without asking permission? And Aaron, on the other hand, was only secondary to Moshe. So Rashi brings a second shot. Why does he say, Loma mefarish dargas Miriam ayidei amilim achos Aaron v'lei achos Moshe? V'shemasar nafshi aleh k'shenitztaro nikras al shmei. What does nikras al shmei mean? People in that generation referred to Miriam as Aaron's sister. Hainu shekein hoyu koirin oiso. Umikivon shenikra al shem Aaron, lochein koira hakosov achos Aaron. Since that's the way people called her, that's the way the pasuk refers to her. Maskil Rashi Perushia Sheni Rashi begins B'tevis with the words Davar Acher Achos Aaron lahadgish, to emphasize she'ein ze Davar Acher B'tevis Hakushia Eich Batikach Miriam. It's not a second reason why she stood up ifnei Moshe. Ki im rak Davar Acher B'tevis Achos Aaron. It's another explanation of why it says Achos Aaron v'loi Achos Moshe. The main answer is she was a great Neviah, and that gave her the right to speak up in front of Moshe. According to this pshat, it's still a question. Why? Because when did all of this happen that she had saras and Aaron stood up for her? Years later. Years later, in the Midbar. Here we're talking about the Kriyas Yamsuf. V'nikras al shmei shel Aaron achos Aaron v'lei achos Moshe mitzad mu'ura she'ira kama zman achar kach, something that happened years later. That's a challenge. V'id v'ikir kan, the main nekuda. The pasuk is telling us about her greatness. So now you're going to tell us that she had saras and she spoke lashon hara. You're insinuating a negative event at this moment of greatness. Kan tzarech liyisad dibur b'ma'alosa shel Miriam. Ve'ich yikra'ena achos Aaron hamaskir shenitztara. Here we're going to tell us that she had saras. V'lachein pirush ha'alef kodim. Now, there's a great gem here at the end of this Sicha. So the Rebbe here in the final section of this Sicha, the Rebbe tells us about the greatness of Miriam as a young girl. The emes, to say in Pshutei Shel Mikra that Miriam said nevuah before Moshe was born, she was a young girl. And that's something that a Ben Chamesh Lemikra wouldn't ask because it's not clear in the pasuk. Only a Talmud Memulach, someone who really knows how old Miriam was, he would ask that question. She was a child. She said nevuah. Then what kind of personality was she? So Rashi says, "Kedisa b'soita." There's a Gemara. What does the Gemara in Soita say that the Gemara in Megillah does not say? V'sham ma'she'enkin b'mesechtes Megillah amru razal ifnei ma'im bezeh. The Gemara there says, "Bebiur ma'shekosov." The pasuk says, "Vatelach ha'alma melamed sheholcha bizrizus ke'aloma." She went like a maiden. She went like an older girl, not like a ktana, not like a young girl. She went with alacrity. She went with zrizus. Shemizeh muvan. She'ima yoisa ktana b'ashonim, even though she was a young girl. Hoyu batchunos. She had traits of a gedolah, alma. U'reuya hoisa shetochel aleha nevuah. Already from a young age, she already exemplified. She already had the characteristics of an older girl, of someone that has gedula, a prodigy. I just want to mention that in the footnotes here, there's some reference to a back and forth exchange between the Jungalayim that were involved in writing the Sicha and the Rebbe. One of the discussions here in the footnotes are about the tambourines and the dancing and the singing. So we know the Gemara says that men are not allowed to listen to women singing. So there's an idea that the reason why they went out with tambourines was in order that the tambourines would drown out the sound of their voices, so that it wouldn't be problematic for the men to hear their singing. The Rebbe rejected that proposition, and there was a back and forth. And in the footnote, the Rebbe brings that at the time of Kriyas Yamsuf, the Yidden were at such a level that there was no reason for concern. They were in such a state of holiness that is even beyond the way it was in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, and even beyond what will be in the coming of Mashiach. It says, Zeh Keli Vanveyu, the type of revelation that was experienced. And the Magiim, they had this idea that maybe when Mashiach comes, you still have to worry about Sneas, because the glory of Hashem will be a common day occurrence. It's a constant. It will lose the allure. But so therefore, people won't be so enamored anymore. But the Rebbe was shoyvel that pirush, and the Rebbe discarded it. And the Rebbe expressed that Kriyas Yamsuf had an incredible revelation even beyond of that time. I just want to mention that we all know the Rebbe spoke a lot about there being tkufos in the Zman of Mashiach. So this tkufa that we refer to, when there'll be a requirement of having a mechitza in the Beis HaMikdash, could be tkufa aleph. It could be that later they could reach the level of Kriyas Yamsuf. I also want to mention as a order that I don't remember exactly the year or whatever it was, but there's a Sicha where the Rebbe talks about the Kriyas HaTorah of Mincha on Yom Kippur, and the Rebbe cries heavily in the Sicha, and the Rebbe speaks about how on a day of such incredible greatness, and the Kohen Gadol went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and nevertheless the Pasuk has to talk about K'masei Eretz Mitzrayim, that people shouldn't lead promiscuous lives. That even in such a state of Kedusha, there's a bavaranish. You have to forewarn the human condition. Kaplan, returning to the Sicha, the final ois of the Sicha, the Rebbe shares with us something that's an Indian in Chassidus, and the Rebbe uses oisius of Kabbalah and oisius of Chassidus, and basically this is about the Chassidish take on women's empowerment, the empowerment of women. So let's see what the Rebbe says. B'yeina shel Torah b'pirush Rashi dilan, right from the Pnimius. Miriam Moira al Sfiras HaMalchus. Miriam symbolizes the Sfiras HaMalchus. Ubisfiras HaMalchus, the last one of the spheres. Bisfiras HaMalchus Meitziv Anu Beis Inyanim. Malchus is a constant paradox. Sfiras HaMalchus Mushreshes V'Atmos. On one hand, it's rooted in the highest level. L'mayla Mikol HaSfiras, beyond all other spheres. On the other hand, Sfiras HaMalchus Leis Lo Migarma Klum. It has nothing of its own. It's only what it receives. Bedugmas Halavona Shenim Sheloila, like the moon that gets its light from the sun. Ki'im Rak Shemekabelas Me'asfiris Shelamayim Lo Mimen. Ulefi Shehi B'Bchinas Bitul Gadol. Since Malchus is in a state of complete humility, Verak mekabelas me'asfiris shelamayla mimena. It's open to receive. Lachein efshar sheyur gashbo koyach ha'atzmos. That's why Atzmos can be experienced in Malchus. Sheyeshne b'ha'oir hanimshach eileha, af she'einei murgish ba'aspiris shelamayla mimena. Just to clarify a little bit, the oir of Hashem, as it enters into the spheres, all oir is rooted in Atzmos. But the agenda, the midah of each keli, it taints. It doesn't allow Atzmos to come through because it's occupied with chesed, with bina, with netzach. The preoccupation with a particular form of energy clouds the atzmus, it clouds the essence, it clouds the purity. But Malchus has no agenda, so it's just pure. And that purity, that humility allows the core, the essence of the oir to be expressed, to be felt. Al derech zehu b'Miriam. Miriam, like Malchus, is the same way. Merumez hadavar beis hapirushim sheberashi. Miriam has two aspects. Pirush Hadishim, the first Pirush of Rashi, medaber b'mali sel shem Miriam. It's rooted in Atzmos. Tishoysa Neviah, Uneviah Gedoyla, Umenabo Megalo Mamshicha Leidas Moshe. She brings about and reveals that Moshe will be born. Wow, great. Pirush Habez, the second Pirush, Mevur, Shenikras al Shmei Shel Aaron. She's secondary to Aaron. Aaron saved her life. Hainu, Shebetela, Utfela. She's humbled. She's beneath. She's receiving from Aaron. Aaron's putting himself out for her. He brought her forgiveness. His Bible, Shagam Lefia, the Pirush Habez, Miriam Anavia Achos, Madgish Goydel Malas Miriam. What does the pasuk tell us? Zeshe Yeshnon Milas b'Miriam. Miriam has milas. She has qualities. Sfiras HaMalchus. Why does she have qualities? What gives her qualities? That she's receiving from Aaron. Aaron is the escort of the queen. Aaron is zo shelamayla mimena pirush habez. Now here the Rebbe brings a hayra. The Rebbe says like this: women have two milas. Number one, that whatever their husband brings them, they bring out of that energy more than the husband could ever bring out. I've said here in the shiur many times, a husband brings home a paycheck, and the woman creates a Shabbos and creates a family. The husband, if he had the paycheck, he'd invested in a few, what do they say? How do you make a small fortune? You put a big fortune in the stock market. Right? The husband takes home if the husband do something with the check, I don't know, he'd make a few stops on the way, there'd be no money left. So so the woman's taking what she receives from him, and she brings out what could be done with this. On the other hand, the woman has her own qualities. Not that she's receiving from her husband. So the Rebbe says, how a woman's qualities, her own innate qualities, emerge, how they're expressed when she allows herself to receive from the man. Not only does that allow her to maximize his energy, it allows her to maximize her own energy. Let's take a look. There's a special lesson. They have many milas. They have many qualities. Qualities that men don't have. When Mashiach comes in the cave with the Savior Gever, they'll outshine the men. They need to know. Who is a kosher woman who follows through on her husband's will, who fulfills, by being there for her husband. That's how her own qualities will emerge. This doesn't refer, this lesson isn't just about those qualities that she seems to be receiving from her husband. Their own innate qualities. It's hinted in our Rashi. Why did Arim put himself out for his sister? Why dafke Arim? The reason is because Miriam and Arim had something in common. In Yonishal Arim, who Ayiv Shalom, Reidim Shalom, Ayiv Sadrisim, Arim was a person who sought peace. What was her Inyan? Pua. That she went around and she appeased the crying children and she soothed them. That's the inyan of Reidim Shalom, of soothing the cries. Aaron was defending, protecting his own quality. Says the Rebbe, look at this fascinating thing. This idea of soothing a crying baby is naturally a quality of a woman. And even in this, she's nikras al shmei shel Aaron. It's their teva, it's their nature. Keloshen Rashi, like the way of women. Women bring closer and soothe and comfort. Even in this quality, it's al shem shel Aaron. She's secondary to Aaron. The force, the strength of her qualities emerge when she receives from her husband. Move on the other hand, it's understood. Once she puts herself in that position to receive, all her qualities emerge in a greater way than in her husband. She bestows on him of her qualities, things he lacks. Like it will be revealed when Mashiach comes in the Teva to say Gever. The Rebbe brings in the footnote the story of Abba Chilkia and Gemara and Tainus, that the Chachamim, they came to him to ask for rain, and then they asked him many questions later on, and they said, why is it when the clouds came, they came from your wife's side? He said, because my wife is home, and when a poor man comes, she gives him food. When I help a poor man, I give him a coin. He's not satiated yet. She cares for him with what he needs on the spot. So we see the Ma'ila. The Rebbe brings many instances in Chazal where we see this.